Hi, today we will deep dive into Angular directives. What are directives? Directives add custom behavior to DOM elements, manipulating the DOM by changing its appearance, structure, and behavior. So there are three types of directives: components, attribute directives, and structural directives. We have already seen components and we have been working on it. Today in this video we will see the attribute directives. Attribute directives also has two types, which are built-in and custom directives. We will see built-in directives in this video and custom directives in our next one. So when you change a class, a style, or even a property, you are using attribute directives. They don't change what is in the DOM, they change how it looks or reacts. We will break down NgClass, NgStyle, and their faster cousins class.className or style.style, right? With hands-on examples, hidden gotchas, and a few pro-level tips. So let's see how this works. Okay, so the first attribute directive that we are going to see is NgClass. Okay, so we have this application, poster application that we will be working on, and our development server is running, right? We'll go into the postlist.html. So before using ngClass directive, I have to import it into my component ts file, right? So inside this imports array, you have to import that particular ngClass directive that you want to use, right? So I'll import that ngClass. Remember, in the earlier versions of Angular, you would have to import the common module inside this imports array, or the common module inside the module that you have been working on, right? But now we can also import ngClass directly from the at angular common. Okay, so once imported the ngClass, I can use the ngClass inside my template. So let's say, for example, I want to have a class that should be applied over this image. Okay, so what we'll add the ngClass over here. So ngClass is added using the syntax ng, and you can see the ngClass is shown inside this suggestions. So I'll add this ngClass suggestion, right? And once inside this brackets, I can use the single quotes, right? So that class that you want to use, the css class that you want to use, you can use it over here. So the class that I want to use over here is the css class that should be coming out, that is there inside my postlist.scss. Okay, so I'll use image dash it should be post dash image. Okay, so this is a post image, so I'll use that class. So before saving this, let's see how this is looking inside the browser. You see the image is not properly aligned, or is not, it should have a borders, I would say. So I'll save that file inside my postlist.html. Okay, so now you see the image is properly aligned and properly had these borders across the image corners. Okay, remember, ngClass can also be applied to multiple classes that you want to use, or multiple style classes that you want to use. For example, I can use another style that I can use over here inside this ngClass. Let's say I want to use image uh, class, or any style that you want to use in that is there inside your SCSS file. You can use it inside this ngClass. Also, ngClass can be applied to an array syntax. For example, let's say I want to add multiple classes to this paragraph, right? So here we have only a single class. Okay, so I'll change it with ngClass over here. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll add ngClass, and then the array syntax goes like this. You have to add the array over here. Okay, so once array is added, you can add the classes into comma separated array list item. Okay, so for example, the array, the first class that I want to add over here is the one that was already there, the paragraph one. Okay, so the other that I want to use over here is that this is a fallback paragraph. Okay, so I can use p that's fallback. Okay, so what this will do is that let's say this color, the color of this no content available is the grayish type, right? I want to make the color as black. So what we'll do is I'll add this class. Okay, so once this class is added, you can see the paragraph color is has changed to black color, right? Complete black. So in this way also you can add the ngClass attribute directive, okay, using a array and comma separated array list items of the classes that is coming from the SCSS files. Now ngClass can also be applied using an object syntax. For example, we have the switch over here. Okay, now I want to convert this switch into a single statement or a single line of this span. Okay, so what I'll do over here is that I'll copy this span. Okay, and I'll add it over here. Okay, and I'll remove this switch for now. But before that, let me update the span using the ngClass. So what we'll do over here is that I'll add the ngClass over here. Okay, and within the ngClass I'll add the curly braces. Okay, so this is the object syntax that we want to use in using the ngClass attribute directive. So what we'll do here over here is that we'll apply the condition. Okay, so for example, let's say I want to have this badge applied to be every time, right? Whether that is private post or public post, right? So what I'll do over here is that I'll add this badge class, and that will be true all the time, right? So the badge class will be applied all the time whenever this span will be added into the DOM. Okay, and next what I want to do is that I want to apply the private class if, right? So what the condition is that if the post object dot type is private. Okay, so we can add post object dot type. Okay, and what we'll do over here is that we'll add the condition the post object is private. Okay, so we will do private. Okay, and we'll add another condition. If the post object is public, then we'll add the public class. Okay, so that means this is public. Okay, so I'll add the public class over here. So let's remove the switch syntax from here. Okay, so our code is now lean, and that is narrowed down into a single statement. And let's see how this is looking. So you see there is no change into the UI. Okay, so we have successfully applied the object syntax using the ngClass attribute directive. Okay, one thing to note over here is that if you used class along with ngClass, so Angular merges both the classes and it will show the classes into the DOM with by merging both classes into the single syntax or into the single HTML tag that you are using into. Okay, so we'll remove the class that we have used over here. Okay, and we'll also remove the switch that we have added over here. Okay, and for example, I have this class. Okay, and if I want to use ngClass over here. Okay, so for example, I have used ngClass, let's say something. Okay, so this sum along with the paragraph class, both classes will be applied dynamically whenever you are looking into the DOM element. Okay, the element that you see into your console. Okay, also you can call your functions that is there inside your component ts file. For example, I can use ngClass over here and call a function, right? Get classes from the component ts file, right? But using this every change detection cycle, Angular reruns this get classes function. Okay, so instead you should store your class map in a variable and update it only when needed. Okay, so you should try to avoid calling the functions inside these ng classes, because that will run after every change detection cycle. Okay, and if you used ngClass with the same class, for example, I have the class paragraph over here, right? And if I add the object syntax inside this ngClass, let's say again the same class paragraph. Okay, but here I'd say false, right? So Angular will remove this paragraph class even if you have added a class property along with the NgClass, right? So this will dynamically remove this paragraph class and you will not have any class applied to this paragraph, okay, paragraph element. Okay, so NgClass gives you power, but with power comes the chain detection, for example, that we have already seen. So keep it clean, keep it predictable, and your UI stays smooth. Now there is a shortcut to apply dynamic classes, right? For example, there is a shortcut to add class dot the class name property. Okay, so the syntax is cleaner. Let's say I want to add a class dynamically. I already added a class, right? Private class. So what we'll do is we'll remove this private class from here. Okay, so what we'll do, we will add the class dot property, right? So the syntax is like this. You have to add the brackets, and within that you have to add the class, and then within that class dot you have to write your class name, right? The class is like this. This is my class that is coming from the CSS. Okay, when I have added this class, I want to have the condition over it when this class should be applied, right? So the condition is already there. I'll copy that condition over here, okay, and paste it here. Okay, so what this will do is this will apply this class dynamically if this condition is true. Okay, so this is the syntax. This is cleaner, and it is a single line whenever you want to apply a single class on your HTML element. So when you are toggling one class, this is the best syntax. It's fast, readable, and Angular only checks that a single condition. And yes, you can also change multiple class bindings. For example, I can also have another class dot public over here. Let's say class then dot public. Now the public class will be applied whenever the condition that I'll add over here is true. Okay, so I'll add that public class condition over here. Okay, and then I'll remove this thing from here, and when this condition is true, when this post object dot type equals public, if this is true, then this class public class will be applied to this HTML element along with the private class that you have. If this condition is true, then that class will be applied. Okay, so Angular will merge all of these classes, even if you have the class dot property or you have the NgClass property along with the class simple HTML class property. Okay, let's look into the browser, and you see there is no change in the UI. So our class dot property is working as expected. So this is my personal favorites. It's clear and very performant. Now the next one that we'll see is the NgStyle. NgStyle lets you bind inline styles directly into your components template. And the NgStyle is also represented using the object syntax. So let's say I want to add NgStyle to this paragraph element. Okay, so for that, let's say I will remove this p fallback and apply the style of this p fallback class into using the NgStyle syntax. Okay, so what we'll do, the object syntax and the attribute syntax of the NgStyle and NgClass are same. So we'll add NgStyle over here, same as we added using the NgClass. So NgStyle is the same. Now we have to add an object over here. Okay, within the object we will add CSS declarations. Remember, this object specifies the CSS complete CSS rule. Okay, so we'll add all the CSS syntax, the property over here. For example, I want to apply a color. Okay, I think that's what is this p fallback class has. Let's see. Yeah, the p fallback class has this color black. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll add this color black over here. So I have added this property color and the value, and the color that I want to apply is the red one. Okay, sorry, black. So I'll add the black color over here. Okay, you can also add the hashtag of this color. Okay, hash syntax of this color. I'll add the black over here, and let's add the post list. Let's save this. Okay, once saved, I'll add this NgStyle. Now NgStyle should also be imported into this post list .ts file, into your component ts file. So I imported the NgStyle from the @Angular common, and only this way this will work. Okay, so we have to import NgStyle and NgClass in order to work them. Okay, so NgStyle added the color. Okay, the color is added as a black. Now let's see if this is working. We'll go into the browser. You see the color is applied into this paragraph content. Okay, you can also specify units to these properties, to the property of the CSS rule. Okay, for example, I want to add a property font size. So what we can do, we can add font dash size. Along with that, the pixels, right? I want to add the font size into pixels, right? So what this will do, this will add whatever font size I have added in this value property. Let's say the value is 20. Now 20 pixels will be applied to this font size of this paragraph element. Okay, so if I save this, you see it should apply to this paragraph element. Okay, let's see if this is working or not. You see the paragraph element has this font size as 20, right? The other one is differs from this, right? Remember, these units matter. Okay, so whenever you want to apply font size or the width of any element, you have to assign the pixels or whatever units that you want to add. Okay, you cannot directly add font size 20. This will not work. Okay, so you have to apply the pixels or the units that you want to apply. Okay, and the one thing to remember is that the property name that you are seeing over here can also have the kebab case, also the camel case, right? So the one that we have used is the kebab case. It can also be applied using the camel case. Let's say I want to add font size as camel case, right? So this will also work. Okay, but always remember to use the units. Okay, so I have added the camel case over here for font size, but I have to use the units. Okay, so I'll add the font size as pixels, 20 pixels. So this will apply to this UI. Okay, also another point to note is that object reference Angular checks object's identity, not content. If you recreate the style object each cycle, Angular will re-render the element even if nothing has changed. So always define your style map once and updates its properties instead of reassigning the object again and again. Now just as NgClass has shortcut or shorthand properties, NgStyle also has the shorthand syntax for this. Okay, so now suppose I want to add a shorthand syntax for this NgStyle. How will I do? The same as the NgClass, just as we do for NgClass, like class.className. We'll also add the NgStyle with the style.styleName. Okay, so what we'll do here is that we'll add the style name using the square brackets. Say I want to add style to this h2 element. So what I'll do, I'll add the square brackets to this style property. Let's say style, and then the property that I want to add, the CSS property that I want to add. So I want to add the font size property again to this h2 element. So what I'll do, font using the camel case or the kebab case, both will work. So I'll add the font size dot pixels, right? This is the unit that I want to add into, and I'll add the 25 pixels to this element, the h2 element, right? The title that I will see. So 25 font size will be applied to this h2 element. Let's see if this is working or not. Yes, if you see the post title, this is updated with the updated font size. Okay, so this seems to be working, and this is clear, and this is very cleanest and most efficient way to apply single styles. Also, this is simple and elegant way to apply a style where you want to add only a single property or only a single CSS property to any element. One pro tip is that inline styles always override the CSS classes. Okay, so if you have added font size to this class, okay, so that will be overridden by the inline style, right? So that's how I think the CSS rule works. Now let's see the best practices. Always prefer class.name or the style.property for single conditions. If you want to add a single style to any element, you should always use style or class.properties. Okay, use NgClass and NgStyle for multiple conditions only. Avoid inline functions and recreated objects in templates. Keep your styling logic outside your HTML whenever possible. Let CSS handle the visual work. And remember, pre-compute your maps, be mindful of chain detection, and don't fight CSS, use it wisely. So that's our crash course in Angular's built-in directives. In next part, we'll go beyond built-ins. I'll show you how to create your own custom attribute directives. So if you learned something today, hit that like button and subscribe to Frontend Forge. Until then, keep coding and keep learning.